Should we start playing the violin now? Dun, 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 because it doesn't look good for the Division 3. I mean, it's just sad. I mean, I hope this is not the case. I hope they do bring out a Division 3. I love the Division. I've been playing it religiously for the past few months. You know, I just think it's such a great concept, such a great third-person looter shooter. Not as good as Ghost Recon Wildlands, but you know, it's up there. It is up there as one of my top favorite looter shooters ever. But does it look good? I mean, first, apparently, according to a few articles, the Division 2 did not meet sales expectations on consoles, and the majority of the sales came from PC. And then we had the original Division, which had a phenomenal sales, but it was met with some controversy and needed some patches. And even though now the game is in a much more stable state and it's much more playable, it's much more better, the Division 2 really kind of, they tried to make things better, some quality of life changes, some things that make overall gameplay, game mechanics better, but still, it just didn't perform like Ubisoft wanted. Now, it's not to say these games were a flop, far from it. I mean, the Division 2 as well as the original Division, they were stellar games and they sold well. But, I mean, it looks like we might not get a Division 3. I mean, obviously, there is a spin-off game called The Division Heartland, which I don't think has a release date as of yet. Which, hold on, let me. Really, I'm recording this and yeah, sometime soon. Yeah, sometime soon. I mean, it was announced last year, so good about another year or two. But this game really is like holding Division 3 on its back, because if this game fails, this is like the nail on the coffin for the Division series. And then to bring it out even worse, Ubisoft's Massive, which is the studio behind the Division, just recently announced that their leader, you know, I don't want to say leader, but you know, their managing director is stepping down. David Pulfert, wow, I butchered his name, but you know, their David, let's just call him David because I don't want to butcher his name anymore, is leaving the company. I mean, this man spearheaded the Division as well as some other titles, you know, some great titles, but still, like, he's, after 17 years, he's leaving the company. So, who knows what the next guy is going to do. I mean, obviously, you know, he's not leaving right now, even though he put in his resignation. He's still going to be with the company for a couple of months to a year to help with the transitions. And then he's taking a hiatus to just recharge his batteries, relax, you know, enjoy the fruits of his labor. And then he's going to move on to other projects. But still, I mean, this guy spearheaded the Division. I mean, what's to say the next guy is not going to think too highly about the project and we'll shut it down. We'll shut it down. This just sucks because I really like the Division. There's something about the Division, the concept, the story, especially during the pandemic era. Wow, it's so hard to say pandemic era because obviously COVID is still around, but you know, the height of it when everything was locked down. You know, jobs were very scarce because of the lockdown. Everybody was at unemployment and stuff like that. It was just sucky times, very depressing times. It was very depressing for me. And the Division kind of was like the escape. A lot of people did. A lot of people played the Division. I think during the pandemic era, Division had some of the highest player counts of that time. And it's just a fun game. It's sad that it didn't meet expectations. Like, seriously, like, what are Ubisoft's expectations? I mean, these games were massive sellers. They were a success. Like, how much did they invest into the game? How much was the game's budget that after these sales numbers, Ubisoft says the game did not meet console expectations? How much? What was the budget of the Division? Let's Google it really quick. You know, the Division 2 sold over 10 million copies at $60 a pop. I mean, where's my calculator? 60 times 10. That's like $600 million. Okay? The Division 2 sold 600 million. Okay? Sold 10 million copies. Each copy costs around $60 or 60 USD or like 58 euros depending on where you live. I don't know, but still, it's like $600 million, and the game did not meet expectations. Like, seriously, I mean, this is just ridiculous. I mean, which is so, it's just ridiculous because there was a point where the Division had almost no support from the developers. Like, the developers gave up on this game, but the fans kept it alive, and they kept on releasing content, and they kept on updating the game. But it's just crazy that this franchise, the developers at one point was literally going to give up on this game. It's just crazy because it's like, it's crazy. It baffles my mind. It's just like, it blows my mind that a game that sold over 10 million copies, made over $600 million in like its first week, I think it was. Like, yeah, like worldwide, it sold over 10 million copies. That's like $600 million. How much did they invest in this game that it did not meet expectations? I keep on going back to this because it is just insane that it did not meet their expectations, and they were going to drop the franchise altogether. They were going to drop support, and the loyal fan base said, no, this game is worth investing in. We will continue to invest in it because it is a good game, and it is a good game. The Division 2 was solid at launch. I mean, I think it was one of the very few games that released with very little bugs. Like, it was playable at first launch. That is rare nowadays. That is extremely rare for a game to be released in a good working state. Okay, as sad as it is, the Division 2 was a good, solid launch title with almost, you know, no game-breaking bugs. It was insane. It was insane. But yet, the developers just, because it didn't meet sales expectations, like, I mean, like, what were they expecting? Seriously, the game made over $600 million. I mean, what did they want? 600 billion? $600 billion. Like, seriously. I mean, the Division 2 is a step up from the original in many ways. In some ways, it's a step back. But in many ways, it's a step forward. Now, in terms of gameplay and story, I prefer the original Division. But everything else, the Division 2 just did it better. And then the Warlords of New York DLC, while not as big in map design and variety as the original, it still added content. You know, the leveling system. Once you grind to level 30 and beat that first half, once you get to the world tier, which is the start of the second half of gameplay, the game just gets so much better. You know, the looting system, the grinding system, the leveling system. It's something that's very unique to the Division, and it actually encourages you to experiment, which is something you don't see in shooters. Players normally just pick their favorite gun, and that's it. They stick with it for the entire game. The Division forces you to change up your style, look up different weapons, different gears, customize different technologies and stuff like that, and really experiment and try out different things. Something that a lot of shooter games don't do. They kind of just show you, hey, this gun is the best gun, just keep playing with that gun. The Division doesn't do that. It allows you to expand your horizons, and it's one of the very few shooter games you can actually play solo. You get to play solo. It's just crazy. Like, what goes on behind the scenes with these investors and these corporate people when they look at these sales numbers? They're like, it didn't make 27 billion. It didn't make 600 billion dollars. We're gonna scrap it. Like, seriously. I mean, it is just crazy. And now with the director leaving and all this other stuff behind the scenes, will we ever get a Division 2? Will we ever get a Division 3? Sorry, Division 2 has already been out as a fantastic game. Will we ever get a Division 3? It's just, I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know. It doesn't look good for the Division. I mean, it really doesn't. But, that's what the comment section is for, guys. Do you think the Division is a great game? Do you think the franchise as a whole is worth saving? Is worth bringing back for a third entry? Or do you think the developers and the corporate investors were right and the game just should be scrapped and, something else should come on? As always, like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to help out the channel. I'm really focusing on making more quality reviews, more quality that people can enjoy. And as always, have an awesome day.